Welcome everyone to Loud and Proud Orlando. It's Thursday, April 11th, 7:37 p.m. Thank you so much for being live with us tonight. We're back after a quick little break of back-to-back pods and also back-to-back games. We're excited to take this little time off. Hopefully, everyone has enjoyed also their time off the off-sea Twitter. It's been pretty quiet. Uh, but we're back. We're back, and we're back here to talk about DC United. Our next, and I will say this right now from the start, must win away game. I expect a turnaround game for the Lions. I expect that gelling, that glue, all those words to become become true and become a great win for the city. So I'm definitely excited for that. Hopefully everything goes well. Also, Pride's gonna be playing. Also, they're gonna be back probably very soon too. So, John, how are you, my friend? Good to see you again.
Good, man. Ready for Orlando City this weekend, DC. We've had time off, so I'm excited to see what's happened, right? It's almost been like we had this bye week. It's a good time for us to have a bye week. We needed enough time to like fully reset, and now if Cesar and Wilder are going to come back out of this break, like ready to go, firing in this game, and we could potentially see the beginnings of the return of the double pivot, dot, 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 then that would be
Yeah.
great. That's my like hopes, but let's see.
No,
Let's see how it goes, you know?
let's read some comments from the gecko here. Stream Jesus, making my popcorn early tonight. This is going to be a great show. Thank you so much, Stream Jesus. Happy Holy Week. I do want to say, Stream Jesus. I'm sure you'll probably enjoy that as well. Joshua Tall, Vamos Orlando. Let's get him Saturday. Fire intro video, says Joshua Tall. Saturday is when we start winning streak. Enrique is back. Well, that's good. That's stop toe. It's good to know. it's good to know. It's good to know the stop toe. We're back in full form. Back in full form. So, you know, I do want to say, we need we need to have we need to be that team that finishes the play, but in front of us we're going to have a team that are having, players like, Venteke, players like Stroud, like Aaron Herrera, like Klitsch, Cudi Pietro also, that they're performing pretty well. They play against Columbus, that was their last game. They tied against the reigning MLS champs on a 4-2-3-1 system. So we know how to play that system. We should know how to defend a team that obviously is playing a 4-2-3-1. So we're gonna be talking about the lineups and who we're gonna plug. Are we gonna see the double pivot again? I know Oscar gave some hints, but today the boys were training, right? We have here some of the footage for the training of today for sure. So right here, hold on, let's play it out right now. Here we go. My apologies. There you go. You got, okay, so who do we see here? So pretty much is a full squad, John. You got Bricalo. You got everybody healthy. So we should see our best 11 against DC. Don't you think?
I hope so. It's just a question of what is the best 11. I mean, we'll get onto that later when we do a lineup, but there was so much time, that we haven't really figured it out yet. And so I'm hoping with this window of time, we've now okay, we got everybody back, everybody's fit, we're just focused on MLS. Now we should see like the game plan. And I'm hoping it's not the continuation of the 4-4-2, Luis, because I don't think that's the way forward for us. Do you?
Well, I mean, we need to we need to learn how to play in different systems. I mean, if they're pretty big,
I I
you know,
agree. I agree. I agree. That's true. But it
but
just
but I
it
think we need
hasn't
to
been
go.
super exciting for me. So I'm thinking maybe we're gonna see a return to the 4-2-3-1. Even though I agree, it's good to be able to learn other systems. It hasn't really worked, has it?
Right. No, of course. There's two things that I believe the Lions should do. You have your double pivot. You have to understand you're going to be facing Christian Benteke, which is a player that, yes, little, people could call him washed up or whatever you want, but he played in the Premier League. He won a league championship with Crystal Palace, right? He also won the Belgian league with Standard Liège. Um, Also, you have to understand Funtas had 18 goals and 4 assists with DC United also. So, I mean, we're facing a team that is going to come to win the game. They're playing at home. So we need to see
I think they
if we're going to
lost
go back.
Taxi though, right? Didn't
Right.
Taxi leave? I think he left.
Yeah, I think he left. Right, right, right.
Okay, yeah,
But but
he's gone.
but they've been performing. Even if he left, they've been performing pretty well, in my opinion.
No, I mean, I
So
think
so
Jared Stroud is
right.
like a really strong central midfielder they acquired from St. Louis. In the offseason, Aaron Herrera they got in from Montreal is like a right back. I think this is looking really good for them. Mateus Klitsch, like you said, ex Leeds guy, and the other one is like really hard to say. His Theodore Di Pietro, who's a really bright young talent. That's looking really good for them this season. So they've got
Yeah.
other guys, not just Benteke, but Benteke is just such a problem. Like you got to mark him, you got to deal with him. He's just a mad mountain. You can jump and head the ball, and also is great with his feet and can dribble. So he's an all around complete forward that still got it and can do damage. So you got to deal with him. But these other guys are doing well on the wing and creating plays, and they're a good team. I don't think it's
Yeah.
going to be easy by any means, but I'm hoping, like I said, that we see a better performance from us, and therefore it doesn't matter, who we're playing against. I believe when our squad's playing well, we should be able to beat anybody in this league.
Well, the first thing that we need to do, in my opinion, is we have the double pivot, and the double pivot needs to be uh, on point. In my opinion, it has to be on point. Um, they're going to be the cornerstone of the attack for Orlando City, and also for the defense. The back four, I think we already know who they're going to be, right? Um, and to me, we need to see also our DP stepping up, and I would like to see him at the 10, if you ask me, with Martino Ojeda as the right and Angulo on the left, and then Muriel up top. I mean, that should be a starting 11, don't you think, John?
I mean, we'll lay it out 100% later in a little bit and get into it, but I think you're not far off there, and I think we're gonna see a return to that 4-2-3-1. I think Oscar is a guy. He kind of reverts to type when things aren't going well. Do you know what I mean? So he
Mhm.
knows how to play 4-2-3-1. I'm hoping we're going to be defensively solid. I, I kind of expect the next few months to see us still play a similar kind of game, but with 4-2-3-1, where we're retaining possession, we're moving the ball around. I just want to see us be a bit more direct and a bit more clinical. If we're the team that we know we can be, like at the back and stop other teams and have a solid back four week in week out, and who that is we can get into later, but if we can do that, and then in front of that we can keep the ball like we know, and we can actually have our double pivot, and those two guys can actually run around and win the ball back and create for us. And if the three in front of them, as we know, are able to attack the space, are able to create, we just have to be more clinical, and we have to have a striker that's going to finish goals. And Muriel, I said it. I don't know when I tweeted it, but it was early on. I think it was the second or third game for MLS. I think it was the Montreal game, and I was like, "Hey, he hasn't scored yet." And I won't be a Debbie Downer, Luis, but he
No, no.
still
I
hasn't
mean, I think
scored.
no. I
I
think you're
mean,
right.
the
I mean, we
striker
need
that
to
we paid
see.
money for still hasn't scored, so that kind of bums me out. I want to see this guy net some goals. Right now, I'm like, if we're gonna play one guy up front, I'd rather play Duncan to start because he looks more likely he's gonna score. But maybe the move is to bring Duncan off the bench and save him for that last like 30 minutes of a game.
So in front of goal, Orlando City's been terrible in front of goal. I mean, I'm just saying
I mean,
it's
that's what
just
I'm saying. Our goals have
so
come from set pieces or like other places. Like we're
right.
not getting goals from our wingers. We're not getting goals from our strikers. Well, I mean, apart from
So to
Duncan.
me, that's another key
Oh, and
to win the
Jacqueline.
game.
Jacqueline got
Right.
goals.
I mean, people are asking to put Jack Lynn up top. I mean, great. Okay. Yeah.
No.
You, okay. I really, I mean, you have to understand, guys. I mean, you're not going to have Jack Lynn up top. I mean,
Jacqueline is he's a
we're not
great
playing USL, you know?
he's a
We're playing
great
MLS.
backup reserve, like, rotation option. He's not the starting guy right now. If we're gonna play one striker up front, it's probably gonna be Muriel, just out of like rank anyway. Even if Duncan, might be the better informed striker right now. So
I
Muriel's
mean,
gonna take that number 9 spot. And then hopefully someone else in the number 10. Well, like
well,
we said,
if
we'll debate that later. But
if anything, for the 9 spot, if not Muriel, if you're looking at the stats, it will be Duncan McGuire because he has 2 goals.
100%. And then
You know what I
it's
mean? So
Jack after that, like
right, for
coming
sure,
on.
for sure.
And maybe we go to the 4-4-2 is still useful, Luis, having played it in the situation where it's like, hey, we need a goal. We've been playing 4-2-3-1. Let's go to the 4-4-2 and then keep Muriel on or bring Jack on instead of Muriel and keep Duncan on or whatever and have a combination of strikers up front. That's useful, but in some ways, I think we've got a lot of good attacking mids,
Right.
and you playing the 4-4-2 doesn't work for those mids because Ojeda, in my opinion, is not far. The only one that really knows how to play like left mid or right mid, and not left wing and right wing, is Angulo. I don't think Faco really knows how to play further back in that 4-4-2 and like track back and defend. I don't think
Because
Ojeda
I
benefits
don't think
him
he
because
did.
he's too slow to get up the field fast enough.
Well, I
So
just think
you
he
end
doesn't
up
defend the
with,
ball. He doesn't defend the
yeah,
ball.
and also no one's playing the center attacking mid role. Well, like kind of Muriel is, but not really. And so I think you end up with a situation where we're not putting our best players in their best positions. Like we built this squad around the 4-2-3-1. And so we've got players that suit those positions that are the 4-2-3-1. And so I think he's going to revert back to type. And we're going to see that with a double pivot, especially. Like if the double pivot is back, Oscar's going to want that.
So 93 shots according to Opta, 27 shots out of those 23 have been on target, just like John said. And we've only scored as a team 5 goals. I mean, that is terrible. Like Charles Barkley would say, terrible, terrible. And
Our what is
right,
it like our return on investment or whatever, our shots, the like on target to versus not on target, it's pretty
yeah,
bad. we're
yeah.
we're we're
You
taking
got.
a lot of shots, but we're just not hitting or if we are, it's straight at the goalkeeper.
I mean, our top goal scorer right now is Duncan McGuire with 2 goals. Then you got Nico Lodero has 1 goal, and Jack Lynn has 1, and then another one was not counted as a goal because the back heel. It was a back heel attempt, and that didn't count as a goal. It was count as an own goal. So, you know, we need to see some pep in their step for Facu Torres, Ivan Angulo, Luis Muriel, Martin Ojea, and I think that's what people are looking for. They've had 2 weeks to obviously get it ready, and you know to me I wouldn't I understand that people want to see every single one of those players score, and that's probably not going to pan out that way. Hopefully we do. Uh, but a win's a win. What I want is for if they're going to create a chance and they're going to have 150 passes in DC's box, for those 150 passes, at least we get 3 shots on goal and maybe 1 or 2 goals out of that. We need to for them to be more effective. Hopefully we see that, and I'm sure Oscar at the end of the press conference for last game, the last game that they played before the break, that's what he said. He recognized that they need to work on that, right? So hopefully we're going to see this against DC, right, John? So because we need to score first. I mean, when has Orlando City performed the best? In my opinion, I don't know if you can tell me after that yours.
Yeah.
When we have our double pivot working the best, our left back and right backs are actually defending pretty well, and also when we score first. When we score first, it seems that it makes it for Orlando to dominate the game possession wise and in transition. I don't know, what are your thoughts regarding that? I think we need to do that. We need to go back to that. We did that all last year.
I think also if you look at it, we lost Cesar and
Yeah.
Wilder like around the like Minnesota game sort of thing, and then we had one of them for the second Tigres match. So since then we sort of lost the second Tigres match. We lost, which is probably would have lost anyway, even if they were fit. We lost against Atlanta away, could have lost with our first 11 easily. Then we won against Austin without them 2-0, and then we drew against Red Bulls at home 1-1. The results aren't that bad without them, honestly. Like we kind of survived without them. Not terrible, like not great, but not like as bad as it could have been without our two key midfielders and our replacement midfielders. In my opinion, none of them stack up, but also they haven't been playing that well this season either when they were fit. So what we need is them back fit, but also back fit and firing like they were in 2023. And then you can build off that to have the kind of attack that we did last year. It's several things. We need to see a solid back four. We need to see the double pivot return. And then we need to see our attacking mids, like we said, Luis, start actually finishing chances, and scoring first is a big part of that. We're going to create chances from the beginning of the match. But do we actually score any of our chances at the beginning of the games? No. It takes us the entire game often to build into the game. And by the end of the match, we're firing. And then by that time, the game is over and it's 1-1 or it's 3-2 down or whatever. So we'll not only score early and score, set them back, because DC, if they get a couple, I don't really see us coming back from that. We're not scoring a lot of goals right now. So if they score two, I think it's over.
Look, there's a really good song from a band called Steel Pulse. Everybody listens to that. It's called "Back to My Roots," and I think that's gonna be
Back to my
the trick.
roots.
That's it. That's gonna be the trick for Facundo Torres. He needs to go back to the way he used to play in Peñarol. And I have breaking news, which I will read comments in just a second. But we got breaking news. I think I have the. Hold on, where's the? There you go, guys. You got to ask tough questions. There you go. Facundo Torres has practiced the 10. Yes, he has practiced the 10. He has practiced freely playing the 10. Possibly we will be seeing a 4-2-3-1 system against DC. According to what I was sources, is that Facu Torres have been playing the 10. Now, back in Peñarol, he played at the 10. He wore the number 10. And then he had Agustin Canovio playing the right.
Yeah.
Both of them were wingers. Both of them could play the 10. But I think that's what we need to see them be free on that mid area. He's probably going to go more for the right either way. In when the play goes, when the team goes in transition. But for my understanding, for what I've been told, is that he's been training to play that position. What are your thoughts regarding that, John?
I mean, I saw in the press conference that they did at training recently, which you'll
Mhm.
probably play in a bit, that he was talking about playing more centrally.
There you
So it tracks. I mean, I think we talked about it preseason, and then we did see it preseason, actually. I think he even played there at times in the first Cavalry game. Someone played in the 10 that wasn't, or was it Nico? I can't remember, but he might be going back there. I would prefer to see Ojeda there. I think a lot of people think Ojeda is more suited for that position. But Facu is not lighting it up from the right wing anymore. But it's not just, it doesn't matter if he's playing the 10 or if he's playing right wing. The thing is, he just needs to be more creative, Luis. Like he needs to be able to use both feet. He needs to be to create more plays. He needs to be more direct. He needs to dribble directly at guys one on one. And we don't see that much from our players. You know, we have wingers, but we don't have wingers that want to take a guy on, run that somebody directly. We do a lot of passing and we don't do a lot of dribbling. So we need to see some magic from Faku. So if he goes
Right.
in the 10 and that creates some magic, I'm all for that. I think that's great, but I think Ojeda is the one to create the magic this season. I would be putting my eggs in the Ojeda basket first, but maybe Faku can prove me wrong and we'll show,
I have a feeling
show
that
what he can
Oscar's.
do in the 10. Like he's talked about it so long and he got the 10 jersey and he's been pushing for it. So, but if he
That's
gets
right.
it, he has to step up, Louise. If Oscar gives him
I
that
agree
chance, he
wholeheartedly.
can't blow it because Oscar's not going to give him too many of those.
No, I totally agree. I think he needs to step up, but I also understand, and I think that the people need to understand what type of player we also brought to the team. I mean, if you're looking for Nani esque qualities of leadership, of getting a bunny out of a hat and do a magic trick, he has never done that in his short career as a professional player. He's been a very I guess he's been the 10. He was the 10 of Peñarol that did a great job, scored a lot of goals, scored a lot of free kicks. Very dynamic player, but he was the leader in that front was Agustin Canovio, and he ended up going playing in Brazil, not in the MLS. So what I'm trying to say is, uh, we need to see him evolve, like you say, to a more of a leadership presence here. Something that for some people are not, some players naturally are really good cut out for that, and some other players just become role players, really good role players. And I think Orlando has a lot of good role players, and I believe the person that I think we're looking for to step up in after this break, if you ask me, I think is Luis Muriel. I think he's gonna have to,
But
because of
he's
his
not going to
age.
step up and be here's the
Well, the
thing.
scorer, he needs to score goals. We're just looking for
Right.
somebody to
He
score
needs to
goals.
step up and be the 9,
Right.
not step up and be the 10. Like
But it has
someone
to,
else needs to be the 10.
yeah, but there
Matt
has to be a leader
Doyle,
in the attacking third. Who's the leader in the attacking third?
well, that's what I'm saying. Matt Doyle in the preseason and a lot of people in the preseason were talking about the fact that we need to go out and sign that number 10, the guy that can, you're talking about like your,
Right.
for example, let's say you're Messi if you're at Miami, or
Or or what's his name? The
your
Spaniard guy from New England.
yeah,
I forgot his name.
Carlos Gil,
Carlos Gil guy,
or
right?
your Ricky Puig if you're LAFC, right?
I love,
Or
I
it
love, I
depends.
love how
Your
you say
creative
that.
guy, your number one, the one you hang your hat on in
That's
like,
right.
your Boanga, for example. Your Hani Mukhtar. We don't have that guy. And the preseason we were all debating who's going to play the 10, who's going to step up, who's going to be that creative force in the middle of the park. Maybe we thought Nico, but Nico do that and has done that, but he's too old to do that. We can't have him doing that every week. We need someone else to be that guy. So if it's between Ojeda and Faku, I would go for Ojeda, but it seems like they're gonna go for Faku.
Yeah.
but he has to step up and become that player, like that
Exactly.
the kind of guy that we need him to be there. And if he doesn't, then I
Take him
think
out.
like, well, I don't think we take. I mean, it's just
No, no,
more of a
take him
case
out.
that
Whoa, put something that works because we have to win the
right.
game, John.
That's the thing.
Right.
We have, but also I think you have to give it time and you have to stick with it. And you have Oscar's always changing guys around a lot, and I know we've had a lot of injuries and we've had a lot of rotation needed. So we need a consistent starting 11, just like we need a
Right.
consistent back four. We need consistency in who's doing that role at the number 10 position. If it's going to be Faku, great. And if Faku comes off, then Nico comes on. That works for me, as long as he's actually able to do it, and as long as he's able to create plays and work with Muriel and play off each other. Like, I think Muriel loves to drop deep, so whoever is in that 10 position, I think just goes in front of him and makes the run in front. Like, that's such
Mhm.
a simple thing that Duncan didn't really do. You need to be a little bit closer, and I think that Faku has that understanding and intelligence. So maybe that's what they're seeing is like, hey, Muriel wants someone to play off with, next to him, almost like a not second striker, but in the 10 position. That's what David Olbury, perfect comment right here.
Yep.
Didn't even realize we're talking about the same thing here, David. David says, could Muriel play the 10 and be more of a second striker since we have Dunk? It's like that, David. But what I'm saying is Muriel's your 9 and Faku's like your second striker.
He
And
should
they
be
sort
our
of,
10.
right, like the Faku is the 10 that then moves in front, and like the two of them can play off of each other. I believe I'm hoping that's what they're gonna try and do. And Ojeda, I think, is fine either in the center or on the wing. I think Ojeda's going to give you. I think he's our brightest spark right now in the attacking position. So for me, Ojeda has to start. So if Faku going to the 10 means Ojeda can have the spot on the right wing, that
Um,
excites me. As long as Faku beats
exactly.
Ojeda, I think
That,
Ojeda can do a lot from that right wing
yeah,
position. But he
that's
hasn't
what
really
I'm
been able to
expecting.
play because Faku's always there.
Yeah, so that's what I'm expecting. Also, let's do some comments real quick. Thank you to David, Joshua Tall. Yes, definitely score early. Yes, definitely we need to score first. Give us momentum when we do. Don Pineda, Rollins, the Roarer says Stream Jesus. The Jungle Boys says AKA. There you go. Left. I don't know if I should say it. Let's fucking go, guys. Love the show, guys. Keep the hard work. There you go. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Yeah. So let's see what let's listen to Oscar Pereira and see what he says. I think it's gonna be interesting to know what he's gonna say.
All right, Oscar. A week away from games and now right back to it. How was it just having time to kind of sit with the team and prepare and work on the things that have needed to be worked on?
Right, right. Now it's been good. We have trained very intense with the group, uh, accommodating much more the pieces, and at this point where we need consistency and we need to start. Well, we started already, but just keep winning games and points. I think just being with the group with a lot of frequency in the trainings is very positive.
What was the main thing that you were focused on with this off week?
Oh, there you go. Main thing they
Sort out
focused
with
on.
the
Good
team. What were
question.
you emphasizing with the boys this week?
Good question. I will say thank you to the colleagues and go there. Good question, guys.
Well, frequency with the group, frequency with the ones who came to our team, but has not been training much other than just being in the games. So we focus a lot on having a lot of continuity on the principles and the way we do things with the group, but, obviously, but with the players who had been absent before.
I imagine Luis Maria was one of those players. What are you finding to be his best role? How do you think you can use him most effectively?
Well, we're in that searching sometimes. But do you imagine that these things can produce this effect, and sometimes it doesn't? So we are in that search of just finding not just him, but our best version in the team.
You guys basically had a week off from playing games. How did you guys utilize that time to I guess work on that final punch that you mentioned after that disappointing draw or that draw against the Red Bulls you had
Mhm.
I guess 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it was a good game. I think we played well, and we didn't come out disappointed. We played against a good team. He has a good momentum, and I thought we were the best team in the pitch too. And now we have things to get better on being more effective and being more concrete in the backs and those things. Yes, but I think has been one of the things that we have had during or after the preseason is something that has to come.
No, I do want to say, and I want to give kudos to Mike, to also to Wesh too, to everybody that was there. You guys have to understand this, and I'm going to say this very clear. I obviously sometimes can go to the to the trainings
Yep.
because obviously I live a little far from the training grounds. So
Well,
I have
also
to
training is like what, like 7
right.
a.m. on a weekday,
e-
so it's like
e-
it's during
yeah.
everybody's work time. The only people who
So
can go there are people who work full time as reporters.
I want to go ahead and praise the guys that go, and give them one clap and one Ric Flair, woo, right? And obviously, because it's only 15 minutes, you cannot record they give you 15 solid minutes with somebody on a timer right there. 15 minutes. So imagine the guy that just asked a question coming from Winter Park for 15 minutes. So it is a big feat. Overall, John, I think Oscar, what do you think about the words that he said?
I think it's good. I think we know that it's time for them to like reset. We know like gelling, gluing, whatever you want to say, is more of that is happening. That's good. I I think they're always going to talk the talk and say what they want to say, but we need to start seeing the results. I don't think 1-1 against Red Bulls was a bad result, like he says, considering the fact that they are a very good team and they were on a bit of a roll. And we did look good in that game, but I think there's just more of the same issues in that match. And so that's really what I want to see corrected is from this period over we've seen here, are we going to be more effective more than anything? Are we going to be more just more clinical, right? We just need to stop being so sloppy. And stop with the endless amounts of possession and backwards passing and just never really creating any real good chances. I want to see a team that attacks more aggressively. So hoping that's what we'll see, but
Yeah, I mean, everyone pretty much seems to be very available, right? Which is great. Now we'll go to kind of in a way highlight what DC has done. I mean, there
we
are
have
right now.
we have a full like squad back and everyone's fit and like so that's the thing. That kind of adds a bit of pressure here, Luis. It's like we can't.
Of
There's no more
course.
like, oh well, we're missing this guy or we're
No,
missing that guy. There's no more of
exactly.
that. It's like you've had 2 weeks, everything's reset. Yeah, it's DC, whatever. It doesn't matter. Bogey
Exactly.
team for us recently, but I don't care. We can still beat anybody in this league with this squad. So now's the time to show it.
There's no
What have you been
more
working on?
no
You know what I
no
mean? It's like,
no
sorry,
more
go ahead.
excuses. No more excuses, man. This
Yeah,
is
it's like when the
yeah,
teacher
he's
comes to
right.
class, right? And she's like, "So what have you been working on for the last 2 weeks? Show me what is your group, you done a group assignment. What have you been sitting around doing nothing, but like then now she asks what you to show your work.
We
And
cannot be
that's
if you go to
this,
UCF,
right?
you cannot be doing your homework 10 minutes before your class
Oh,
starts.
I don't want to see some rushed,
Right.
whatever. I want to see an actual plan out there. I want to see what is the new game plan. And like we said, this
Exactly.
probably returned to the old game plan, which is
I
fine.
agree.
I'm all for that because that's how we got second last year. It just needs to work.
Dave, Joshua Tall says here, Pedro definitely needs a big game Saturday as well. David Albury says, could Muriel play the 10? Yeah, I think we read that already. Hope they glue more these 2 weeks. Also, hope they work more on set pieces. Totally agree. That's insane. Yeah, it is insane. As long as
It's
he's,
easy. Interesting about David Bercalo, and we knew that he was injured, but I think they're talking a lot about that. I don't know. I'm hoping that he's had time. Like he went away with national team, so
yeah.
if it was that much of a concern, surely we would have been like, maybe don't go for national team. But I guess
Well, I
Oscar's
mean,
standards of fitness are different from the Slovenian national team standards of fitness, or
plus also
his old club.
mitigating.
I think a lot of the time we get these players in, and Oscar's like, "You're not fit enough. We need to get you fitter, and we need to get you up to speed, especially after an injury."
No, I agree with you, and that's gonna bring us to the lineup for the next game, right? And I want you guys to comment if you guys want to go ahead and ask us questions or anything you guys want to add, any wildcard questions and things like that. Make sure that you comment, and then we'll read them out loud also. So without further ado, let's do the lineup. So in my opinion, you got Pedro right here, right? I think we know the back four, right, John?
I think so. It just the David Bercalo thing is the only one
I
that
think Bracalo's going to
he's still
start.
out, but I think that would suck. I don't think it's going to be the case.
I think he's going to start.
I think Oscar was talking about that in like the case of the past. I'm just hoping he wasn't setting us up for
No,
Schlegel to
no, no,
have to
no, no.
play again.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be
I mean, he
Bracalo
didn't play
Jensen.
even that much when he went away, David Bercalo with Slovenia. So
Yeah,
I think he'll be
Bracalo
fine.
Jensen. We're going to see Dagger and Santos. Do you agree this is going to be the back four?
I think so. I mean, I actually, I don't know. Do you think Oscar's lost hope in Santos, or do you think he's happy
No,
with Santos still?
I think he's going to play Santos. In my opinion, I
At
think this
some
is
point,
I think this
I
is
think
our
his.
starting back four.
Here's the thing. It could well be our starting back four, and I don't have much of an issue with that. But I will say this: Kyle Smith has been used in all the games
Right.
at either right back, left back, or in D mid. So if we're going double pivot, Kyle's just sitting on the bench. I think Oscar would rather put Kyle in the left back than play Santos.
Okay, so you feel Kyle is going to be there. Okay.
I think this game, because of the threat that DC poses, I mean, they're very good on the wings, and I think Santos has shown he's a liability on the wing sometimes. Like
Okay.
the guy gets smoked too often, Luis, right?
You
We
know,
see
I
it.
agree.
We
I
see
agree
it all
with
the
you,
time,
but
and Oscar knows that. So Kyle has been moved around to wherever, but I think
yeah,
when
but I
you
feel
don't
that
need
in
other
this,
positions, I think he's going to go Kyle over Rafa.
I think you're completely correct. With that assessment of Santos and Kyle Smith, and if you would tell me that we're gonna have to continue, I'll agree with you on that side. But I feel the team, the players, and Oscar, based on what they're being saying, they feel this is the game in which everything starts again. They get a new start.
So maybe from that perspective, yeah, he gives
From that
half a
perspective,
game. But I
from that
think do you
perspective,
think he'll just
he's
change whoever he wants based on the team? Like, you know what I mean? Like if he's worried about defense, then he'll put Kyle in there. But whereas if he
okay,
thinks we're a better team against them, like at home or
correct.
something, he'll play. That's what I think he'll
I
do. And
think
I
he
think
wants
Dagger plays
to.
regardless. I think Jansen and
Right.
Brecalo, when they're fit, play
Yeah, for
regardless. I
sure.
think the left back spot, he's still I believe, because I worry about it, is Santos is not the best defensively. He's kind of fallen back into old habits of when he first got in the club. And I think right now he needs to prove that he can he can defend it. And also going forward, he's not doing a lot either. So is there much of a benefit to having him there right now? If we're worried
Kyle,
about DC, I would go for Kyle.
I agree with David. This is Kyle deserves to start. I do agree that he
And
deserves
Kyle's
to
been
start.
great. Like he's done a lot. Like, he wasn't great at D mid, but that's not really his strength. You know,
It's not his position,
he's a good defensive fullback,
right?
and that's
He's
fine.
a team guy too. You know, he's a
I would
leadership
also
guy too.
argue, Luis, that it's better for us to have that because then when Dagger goes forward, Kyle doesn't go forward as much, and Kyle becomes that other center back. So you kind of morph into a back three with Dagger doing whatever Dagger's doing, either cutting inside or going up the wing.
Okay, so we'll keep Kyle Smith there.
But it could be half a. I'm just saying, this is the
Right.
debate
I think based on what you're saying, you know, so if we look at this
for
as a
this
merit,
game.
if we look at this as for merit, who deserves it? Clearly, is Kyle Smith, right?
Yeah.
But if we look at as in a restart of our
If you're
starting
trying to have
squad,
consistency of back four, then half a.
right? Exactly. So we could look at it both ways. So let's do the. So I think the two D mids that we're gonna get here are gonna be Cesar, and which I'm glad that he's back, by the way.
Well, I think they're all surprised that he was back sooner than they thought, and Oscar's like, "This is a happy thing," and now we can build around that again, and that just screams the double pivot from last year is going to
Yeah,
come back.
so Cesar and Cartagena are going to be back full force.
And then the smoke signals, right, Luis, are showing us the world of smoke signals out there. They're just showing us that Facu is going to be the 10. Everything's pointing back to that. So
I look, to me this is the, I don't know if third strike, but this is one of the last chances that that he should, you know, that he's going to get with people are, you know, we need to, like you said,
people
it's
are very
frustrating,
frustrated with Facu.
right? People are very frustrated with Facu Torres, and it makes sense. He's not a
He,
bad
like the
player.
team, has started badly again this year, and we're fed
Yeah.
up of watching him start seasons poorly.
Correct.
He comes good every year. It's just annoying that he can't continue.
So
Back
if we
forth.
look at it in a merit based on merit, clearly Ojeda should be here, right?
I
Based
just think
on that-
Ojeda plays better in that position.
Right.
I think he creates from there more. I think also this season Ojeda, like we brought Ojeda in on the last match against Red Bulls, and the game just like sort of started to click and came alive, and we had several chances, and he just honestly, I feel like we look like a better team whenever he's on the field, and it's still
Right.
annoying me that it's like a debate whether he's getting in the starting lineup at this point. It's like,
Right.
play the guy, give him a role, give him a position, play him week in, week out, and play him next to Facu. And if this is the
Right.
way that we have to do that, then I'm all for it.
No.
Also, Angulo has not been great, but I think Oscar
I think he's
likes
been
the
great.
Angulo Muriel partnership. He did have a better game last game, I'll say that. But overall in this season, I don't know. Enrique, remember how good Enrique was looking at the start of the season? So I'm
He
hoping
hasn't
Enrique's going to
scored.
come
He
back.
hasn't scored. He hasn't scored like last season. That's what you mean.
Who? Angulo?
Of course. That's probably why
Angulo
everybody says
hasn't
that
really
he's not
done
doing that
anything like
great.
last season, really, honestly. Like he's got good defense and he's made some dribbles, but he's not getting, like, he's not being as aggressive as he was last year. He's not taking guys on as much. I don't know what's up with Angulo,
I
but
think he is. I think he is.
I don't know.
I
I'm
think
not
he's
seeing
doing.
the same guy.
I think he's doing. I think, in my opinion, he's the biggest. He's the player that sacrifices the most when these two guys were out. He's the
I
guy who
agree.
had to
He does a
actually
lot
go
of
and
heavy
pick it.
lifting.
Right,
I'm not disagreeing with that. Defensively,
Yeah.
he's doing a lot of work. I see that.
I think based on the type of player that's Angulo, where he comes from, I'm pleased with his performance, because you have to understand he comes from being benched throughout his whole career in Brazil. Like Palmeiras, he never played a game. And then before, you know, so he's been benched for 2 seasons straight. He comes here, he gets a big break. He gets into Oscar's good graces, gets promoted to the first team pretty much. And then boom, he starts scoring. He becomes one of the top scorers of the team. Now, I think we have not seen that, and I think that's the reason why people are upset. But also, it has to do a lot, in my opinion, because of the two guys in the middle fell through.
I think he's done okay, but he's not having the year he was last year for sure. I also think that he's just his intelligence in the final third is just not there. The guy has all the speed in the world, and you get up there, and then he doesn't think about like, oh, let me make this pass or let me shoot. Like he often makes that wrong decision. He just runs into a player or doesn't make the pass or has a bad shot. He sort of runs with his head down, and then by the time he looks up, it's too late.
Who else
And
would you place instead of Angulo?
I'm just saying that I think for me, if Ojeda is a lock right now at the moment, I think Faku is honestly, if Faku's performances continue to not impress, at some point we got to talk about dropping Faku, even if he is a DP,
Yeah,
because
for
he's not
sure.
doing anything for us right
I
now.
agree with you
And then
100%.
Angulo is okay, like I said, but he's not like last year. Like David Albury said here, he seems a little slower this year. He does seem slower. I agree. I think teams have figured him out, and I think he needs to, like Faku, the same way he needs to show a little bit more intelligence, and he needs to show a little bit more, you know, creativity in the final third. Where a lot of our players are very one dimensional. Angulo just, like I said, runs straight into the box. Faku just cuts in on his left foot. That's why I like Ojeda, because Ojeda is a lot of them, they don't run off the ball, Luis. If you notice this year, our attacking mids are not making runs like into the
No,
box. They're not running off the ball. They're not making forward runs off the ball. It's a lot of just standing back, playing the ball side to side with nobody making runs into the box. That's what Ojeda does so well. That's what Duncan does actually quite a lot. Angulo doesn't really do that, and he's the fastest one. He could constantly be making runs in different directions or into the box. Faku needs to be doing that. I just think we are too stationary for me. And if you watch a lot of the time, that's why people get frustrated when we're making back passes, because no one's making forward run to make a forward pass. Do you see
right.
that?
No, I agree with you. I feel it has to do a lot with losing the double pivot because that will give more freedom to the attacking third to just kind of, in a way, play more, way more free without
And
worrying about defending the ball,
I
right?
think also the
So,
4-4-2 and everything that's gone on
right.
since, well, first of all, we had the beginning of the season, we had the schedule congestion where we weren't really playing very well, and we had schedule congestion, so we were rotating the team and still weren't playing very well. Then we lost our double pivot. Thankfully, that's come back quicker than expected, honestly. So that's good. But they need to play like last year. Like I said,
Right.
it doesn't
They
matter
need
if
to
they're
step it
back.
up. Like,
They need
right.
to step it up.
Right.
Everybody needs to step it
Big
up.
time.
Honestly,
Big
there's
time.
not one. There's not one player on this team. Even I would say is like
Except
been
Jansen.
incredible.
He's been incredible.
Jansen, yeah. There's been a
He's
game
been
where
incredible.
Jansen's been off.
Yeah, I feel Jensen's been incredible. I think it's a domino effect. I think the key in this match, we got 48 people live, so thank you so much for everyone watching. The key in this match is the double pivot being on point. If you have them on point, Faku should play free. Angulo should attack better, and Ojeda should be Ojeda. I mean, I think in the attack, what Ojeda has been doing, he definitely deserves to start. Wholeheartedly deserves to start. I think from all the people that we see here in the attacking third, he deserves to start from
I
all
think
of
I'd
them.
be annoyed at this point if
Me
Ojeda doesn't
too.
get
I'll
a
be
start.
I'll be
I
upset
think if
too.
that starting lineup comes out and they drop Faku, I'll be like, okay. If they
Okay,
drop Ojeda, I'll be
well,
like, what are you doing?
exactly. I agree with you
And
wholeheartedly.
that's crazy. Like I think it
No,
shows that the guy
on
last year
paper,
didn't have a role, Luis, and this year he still doesn't really have that nailed on starting position. It's crazy to me. I think he looks like our best player
now
at the
on
moment,
paper,
anyway.
John, on paper, not based on merit, but on paper. If you take Kyle and you put Santos, this should be with the new signings Orlando City 2024. This was the plan,
I think
in
it
my
was the
opinion.
plan. I think Enrique as well is a big part of this
Coming
because I'm not
right,
saying he's gonna start, but off the bench, Enrique
right,
can come in any of those positions. Duncan,
right.
obviously, while he's still here, hoping he'll still be here. Obviously, maybe even through the summer. Who knows? Or he's just gone in the summer still.
Same with
Um,
Nico 2024. Nico
Nico
2024
Nico off
coming
the
off the
bench
bench,
is a
right?
great option,
That's right.
but the midfield, man, like we talked about it so much. We don't really have the replace. Like if we lose one of those guys, you can kind of ride it out for a little bit with one of them being gone. But if you lose both of them, it kind of just rips the
Horrible.
heart out of the center of this
Yes.
team. And we suffered, but we, like I said, we did okay actually. And the 4-4-2, I believe, was a reaction to that because we didn't have as many midfielders, so we didn't play as many. Um, and now I believe we're going to go back to
Four
what
two
we
three one.
know, and yeah, and it'll be this, and it might be Santos, it might be even Enrique instead of Angulo if they're feeling spicy. Who knows? But
David,
Oscar is. I love him, but he's a man of predictability. You know what I mean? Like he sort of he wants to do what he wants to do, and all signs point to a return to this.
yeah, I feel based on the signings that we've made, on paper, this is the squad. If this doesn't work, then I I would like to see Oscar grabbing start cutting some of the branches, dude. And we need to see what fits. Or like, okay, you Faku, sorry, bro. Putting Ojeda on the 10, putting Lynn on the
Um,
right. You know what I mean? I'll do
and that's the thing.
something.
I hope it does work because I don't want to
Right.
mess around with
But he needs to
experimentation for
have
much
that.
longer.
He needs to make that decision. Like he needs to be
But this
clear.
should have been the decision. Like you said, this
Right.
was the plan, right? Like,
Right.
what was the plan going into the season? What did we see at the beginning of the season before we, lost people to injuries or before form dropped off? And it was pretty much this, right? The first game of the season, Montreal.
I think
We
they didn't
had
think
we
maybe
had Nico
Montreal
in
was
the
going to be that
10.
good.
We had Nico in the 10,
Right.
but maybe Faku in there.
Because
So
he had a good preseason.
yeah, and it was pretty much this team, and Muriel wasn't here yet, but that's the beginning of the year sort of plan. I think it's
Ojeda
returned
was a
to
sub.
that.
Ojeda was a
If he
sub.
goes to
Facu
four
put him
four
on the right.
two still, I'd be shocked. I think
Yeah.
that would be I would be confused.
I mean, if it's a 4-4-2 with these players, it'll be like this.
Maybe.
And if that's the case,
Faku striker. I mean, maybe that's the
maybe
maybe that's the win
I
here.
mean, you're talking about a striker that in transition it becomes some 4-4-1-1 that he could literally be all over here behind Muriel. Maybe he's that Robin Muriel needs. And Muriel is Batman.
Maybe that's what I'm saying.
Maybe, you know what I mean?
Regardless of whether it's a 4-2-3-1 or a
And
4-4-2 in
now
that case, you know what I
and
mean?
now
That
based
those
now
two
ba-
guys playing off each other in and around the box, Faku and Muriel might be the answer.
Now, based on recent performance, we know, based on the Red Bulls game, Angulo can defend. So I wouldn't be upset with this. And we know Ojeda can do also the back and forth and can defend. And then you got Dagger. So and then you got Kyle. In that case, that's your guarantee
Here's the
defensively.
thing also. Dagger and Ojeda, everyone was talking about that partnership they've been developing on the right side. It has been looking good, I think.
Yeah,
So
it's been looking great.
maybe the Faku in the 10 is part of that, where Oscar's like, I don't want to break up my Dago Ojeda right
Correct.
side. Could be.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's all about connections and partnerships. I think Profe has said it also has been clear, and that's what he needs to build. I remember last year it was Angulo and Rafa. Angulo and Rafa had a really great partnership on the left, that actually will score a couple of goals here and there. And now we haven't seen that. Like you said,
No.
you showed the voice of frustration of the whole fan
Yeah.
base there. So I totally agree. So this is the lineup according to you? I think
I
that
think
was
it's I think yeah. I think Kyle Smith maybe or Santos potentially, but outside of that, I think it's pretty much nailed on.
so the predicted lineup here for LPO to all the 55 people watching. Thank you so much. Pedro Galeza up top. You have Dagger Dan, David Br- Brecalo. Brecalo. There you go.
Brecalo, not Brecala.
That's
Brecalo.
right. Robin Jansen, Kyle Smith, Cesar Araujo, Wheeler Cartagena, Facu Torres right in the 10. On the left, you have Ivan Angulo. On the right, you have Martin Ojeda. And right up top, you have Luis El Toro Muriel, the bull.
I think the Angulo Muriel partnership has been developing as well. So that's what I'm hoping Angulo can kind of revive himself under the stewardship of his fellow compatriot.
Now,
Is
if
that the
I'm
right
Facu
word?
Torres, if I was Facu Torres, in practice, I will get Muriel with me and say, hey, let's start working on some plays, man. Start working on some drills. Like, where do you like for me to, what are some things maybe you can, you have to understand Muriel where he's played before, the high level Serie A in Italy, man. It's a little different. And I think Facu comes from Peñarol, which is a top team in Uruguay, but it's Uruguayan soccer. It's not Italy, right? So I hopefully
I
we
mean, they
see
all
that
play
if they
South
play.
American soccer, Luis. So we just got to
Yeah,
blend the
yeah, but
Argentine into Uruguay into Colombian vibes
it's
here.
a little different. I'll be honest with you.
A
It's
little
a little
different.
different.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a
The
little different.
samba is different from I got you.
Yeah.
From
Well,
the Yogo Bonita, from it's all different.
it's because Brazil and Argentina to me in a different level. Uruguay and Colombia are a little. I'm talking about national teams. Now, obviously, Muri. I'm talking about the expertise. Facu comes from being a 10 in Peñarol that only won locally, only won a championship in Uruguay. Did not play Copa Libertadores very well. And then you have Muriel playing in Atalanta consistently in a higher, in my opinion, higher competition than him. So I feel like if we're going to see this, we need to see also a connection building between Facu, whoever the 10 is, with Muriel, because that's what's going to guarantee for Muriel to probably be more effective as a striker, which we've seen in Atalanta, right? And I think that's what everyone wants to see. What are your thoughts regarding that?
I think I think he is on a level like he's playing a different game in his head to what they're playing, and I think they need to connect that together. And we're starting to see that's the gluing or gelling that Oscar always referring to around Muriel is he's doing one thing and they're trying to do another thing, and it's going to take a while for that to all click. And someone needs to play next to him near, and then needs to play like, and I'm talking like get close to him and play little passes 1-2 off each other. And Ojeda has done it a few times with him. Agulo, he's done it a few times with, and they're all starting to learn it. But whoever that number 10 is, like we talked about, that's the person in that position. Or if it's second striker, if we're playing the 4-4-2, whatever, that's the person that needs to be playing 1-2s with Muriel in and around the box, setting him up, laying it off, like let him assist
Correct.
you, play the ball. So if that's going to be Faku, great, love it. It has to work. Like we said, old
It
pause.
has to
It
work.
has to work. So if Faku's the
I
guy that
like
they
the way
think he
you
can
put
do
it.
that with, which he could do, I see Faku doing that all the time with other players. He loves a 1-2.
Yeah.
So maybe Faku is the perfect guy to do that with. He just was like, okay, bring him in from the wing so he can play next to Muriel, like close to him in the middle of the park, and let Ojeda do his thing out on the right wing. Sure.
Plus,
Hopefully that's what we see. I just don't
plus, I do
know.
want to say. Plus, I do want to say, the backline for DC. You have McVeigh and Barlett, and you have a crafty, shifty guy like Facu Torres, hopefully playing a really good game and being a threat, foul on the box, penalty kick. You know what I mean? have have Muriel take it, right? At that point, even though I think Facu's gonna take it, but I
Yeah,
think
just
we need to see them,
break the duck. I don't want this to go on
right?
too
And
much
look, on
longer.
the
The guy's
bench,
got to
Muriel.
score a goal.
Right, and look, one thing I do want to say about Jacqueline is it's not that I don't believe that Jacqueline cannot play the nine. He can. It's just that based on recent performances, he can definitely be. He's definitely not going back to OCB. You know what I mean? I feel like he's going to be our third striker. So I mean, and once Duncan leaves, I feel that he's going to move up. I mean, if the kid's hot, put the kid in also. So if we see that Muriel is not working out too, and Duncan, it's not working out either, maybe give Jack a chance. I don't know if to start, but definitely he's been coming off the bench. He's been great.
Well,
So,
I think what's wild is at this point in the season
right,
to say that Muriel hasn't scored a goal, Ojeda hasn't scored a goal, and Faku hasn't scored a goal, and Gulu hasn't scored a goal.
correct.
So
That's our whole
the
attacking
four
coach.
guys that we're just putting in this starting lineup that we think are probably our best four strike like attacking players.
Hmm.
None of them have scored a goal.
It's insane.
That's not good. So any of them who wants to step up and start scoring,
They
someone's
need to
got
be
to do
put
it.
in. Exactly.
Whoever they are, they better be in the starting lineup, And so maybe Duncan, like Muriel, I think is going to get it because of seniority. But if it's the 60th minute and we're not seeing it out of Muriel, get Duncan on the field immediately because he might get that goal that changes the game. And Jack Lynn is part of that too. Maybe go to the 4-4-2, like we said, and put Jack Lynn in there. And Nico scored a goal, so Dagger Dan, I think, is our creative force as well that we forget about a lot of the time. But he's doing a lot of work in the midfield. He's doing a lot to generate plays. So let's hope that he's well rested and on firing fit form.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. You know, they're already, people are saying, we may see Duncan leaving, right? The team in the summer. Um, I really feel that we need to do what was best for the team. If Duncan is actually the one who's scoring the goals, we need to put him in there. It's going to be the front office job to decide if he stays or goes. If Orlando wants to offer him something, I don't know if Orlando's going to do that. But nonetheless, I agree with John in that case that we need to put was working best for us. So um, let's see here. All right. Let's go ahead and it says here, Joshua Toller says, so let's win 2-0 at least. Vamos Orlando says. Gnocchi, Recalo did not play. He lost his place, went out for injury. Sad, but Santos freezes by the box. Scary. It says. Yep. Yeah, so we're gonna be staying with this lineup right here to the 55 people watching. Thank you so much. Anything else you want to add, John?
No, I think just our score prediction, I guess.
Yeah, I'll go. You
Joshua
want to
Tull
go
said
first?
what 2-0 at least.
Yeah,
I
Joshua
like that.
tells
That's
us listed.
optimistic.
What's your score prediction?
If I'm gonna go for positivity, I'm gonna say 2-1 Orlando City win. If I'm gonna go for reality, probably a 1-1 or a 0-0 draw. Maybe a loss even. DC are not a bad outfit and they're very good at home, so we gotta perform.
I go for a turnaround. 2-0. 2-0 Orlando win.
I think if anyone needs to score, not gonna predict a certain person to score because I keep doing that and it's not helping him. So I'm gonna predict. I'm gonna predict Ojeda to score a goal. I think the man is due. I think Ojeda is gonna be the one,
I'll say finally the
and a
floodgates
Duncan
open.
goal.
I think finally the floodgates open, but for Luis Muriel, um,
No,
a
no, it won't
brace,
happen. See, you
brace,
jinxed him
2
again.
0.
Uh,
Really?
No,
Come
I'm
on, man.
kidding. I really hope it will, man. I do. I know I'm down on him, but it's just frustrating because I was so
This has
excited
been
about signing such a impressive striker, a guy that has scored so many goals in Europe. I'm like, great, this is MLS, bro. This is easier than that. You can do it there. You can do it here. So I want to when it all clicks for him. Well, we'll be laughing.
William Diaz Granados with ticket scores. Gnocchi, Miami lost in CC in Champions Cup. That's right. 3-2 Orlando. Luis Brace Ojeda. Oh, there you go. Luis Brace and then Ojeda. There you go. No, Luis and then Brace Ojeda. There you go. 2-2 says Gnocchi. Miami lost. Yeah, Miami lost against Monterrey. That was hilarious, I will say. I mean, it was, but we'll get in with the
Shows
national. Yeah, it shows
MLS,
that
man. They just ask for it with the Champions League every year, don't they? They're like, hey, just watch us not be as good as Mexican teams because we can't spend as much money as them.
we need to loosen the restrictions.
I mean, if Miami can't do it with Messi and they've probably broken the restrictions. Honestly, I'm waiting for the news to
Yeah,
come out
they
that
they,
they've
they
broken the
signed Weigand
restrictions.
from Boca Juniors too, which
They
is
just keep
just
signing
insane.
guys with like it's like, oh yeah, we've got more money here. We're just oh, this guy's on nothing. It's fine. Anyway, that's a whole other point. The point was that even with that and Miami having Messi and everything else and the deal that they've got, we still can't beat Mexican teams because they've just got spending more money on the whole squad. It doesn't matter if you have one or two or three or four incredible, really good players at this level. You need like 15 of those to win
I agree.
Champions League. Look at a squad that wins Champions League in Europe and the amount of money that they spend, and then look at a squad that can win Champions League here. And there's only probably 4 or 5 Mexican teams that spend like they don't spend anywhere near what they spend in Europe, but they spend significantly more than Mexican teams do, and than
Yeah,
the MLS teams do.
and not only
Because
that, look,
MLS teams can't. Like, there's no point. We can't. We would, but we can't. You can't go out there and that's the thing right now with this team. We talking about the 10 that we need, Luis. We can't go sign that 10. People are like, "Oh, we don't
Jack
have it in the
Grealish. I
budget."
want Jack Grealish, guy. I want Jack
I would
Grealish.
love Jack Grealish.
I would like
Bro,
Jack
I would
Grealish.
do backflips if we signed Jack Grealish. You have no idea.
Loosen up the restrictions. Let's get
Uh,
Jack Grealish.
Shout out to my friend Nick who calls him Jack Grealish, like like
There you go.
on your sandwich. Yeah. That would be insane. No, but that's the kind of thing, Luis. Right now, we can't do that. Like we're maxed out on DPs. We're pretty much
Look,
maxed out on young U23 talents. We can't, as a squad in the current restrictions right now, we can't go find that 10.
yep.
And that's partly the way that we built the team, but it's also it sucks because in other leagues, if you have a problem like that in your team and you have the money, you
Boom.
just like go find the player.
Boom. Like in Saudi
And we
Arabia,
can't do
correct?
that. So right now it's
Correct.
like we don't have the 10. So okay, we got to find one of these guys to be the 10.
I feel we need to loosen up the restrictions. And what has to it is just my opinion, guys. I'm nobody. I'm not a know-it-all in the sport. That's just my opinion. Because the United States has such great talent when it comes to youth, and majority of our youth goes abroad now. We're becoming these breeding ground of stars. That's why the US is probably going to
Yeah.
do really great in Copa America, and they're going to go do really great in the World Cup. Our local league needs to have the restrictions loosened up so we become a better marketed league, and we can bring those big names over that will complement some of the kids that rise up from MLS Next Pro above. Like, for example, the Jacquelines, the Kibus, the Oteros, right?
I think it's 100% is the biggest problem in this country is that your top talent at youth level goes to play in Germany
Right,
or England or wherever, and the best players in the U.S. national team are not playing in MLS,
right.
and that until that eventually changes, then Gnocchi says supposed to change restrictions a little this summer. Paul Tenorio wrote today. Yeah, that's
Suppose
ridiculous. You're gonna do it in mid-season, like
stupid.
this is the kind of thing they just change the rules for whatever. When I'll say it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. When we joined the league at the same time as New York City FC, they said you have to have a soccer-specific stadium. Did New York? What did they announce today? Oh, New York finally starting to build their soccer-specific stadium.
10 years later.
I don't know if you can see behind me, but we've had 10 years in the league since
10
then.
years
So
later. Fudge.
MLS just makes it up as
Fudge.
they go along. They just change the rules to whatever suits them, the owners,
Crazy.
whatever they want to do. Like this year, we don't want to be an Open Cup. Let's get out of that. Okay, whatever. Fine.
But I think the US needs to do that. They need to loosen up the restrictions because all the kids go abroad and we have a robust national team. We need to change the coach, in my opinion. Berhalter does not inspire anything good, in my
Mhm.
opinion. But you have all those kids abroad. So we need talent here because otherwise we're gonna see more Monterrey Inter Miamis.
Yep.
So loosen up the restrictions so the kids from MLS Next Pro and the Lukaku's, the Grealish. You don't think Lukaku wants to come play to the United States? Lukaku wants to wear Orlando City jersey, man. You know what I'm saying? That's my dream to see Lukaku here, right? But if we're gonna do that, they need to come at age, not at when he's like 38. He needs to come here when he's like 29.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
also think that it's growing a lot in this country, but it's still a long way behind
Yeah.
where it needs to be in other places. And things like the not playing in the Open Cup is a step
So,
backwards in the
yeah, for
soccer
sure.
culture
Agreed.
of the whole
Agreed
country.
wholeheartedly.
And there's different things like the U.S. soccer cares about what U.S. soccer cares about. MLS cares about their league.
Yeah,
USL
it's their
cares
own
about their
thing.
leagues. It's all just disjointed,
It needs to be
and
combined.
that's
That's
not how
right.
you grow as a country. With one side, it's the USA suffers from that with this sport in particular because other countries have all of that established and have had for so long that you can't just go ahead and starting up another league because the regulations of the country itself say no, you can't do that. But here, the U.S. Soccer Federation, like I mean, they just awarded what the U.S. The what is it, the Women's League in
Yeah.
USL, the W League, I think they're called. They just gave them D1 Women's League status at the same time that you've got NWSL with the Pride also or D1 state. Like, so what? Now it's just the Wild West, just fight it out, all out war for who gets to
So
be the top dog, which
so
they
now
did
so
between MLS and this happened between USL and ASL, and now NASL is dead.
yeah. So now you're telling me that the Tampa Bay Sun
Yep,
are this has the same status as the Orlando Pride?
yep. Even though they haven't played a game yet,
Get
and
the
also I think it's such a shame because
get the hell
what
out of here, man.
we need
That's
to then have a
crazy.
way for these two teams to play each other. Like I want to play the Tampa team
Yeah, I
with
want to play
Orlando
the
team.
Tampa Bay
Like
Sun
why are we just all in different leagues? Like it's ridiculous. It's
because they
stupid. Like
got. I just don't
I
understand
understand
why.
promotion relegation and you're in different leagues. That's fine, but the idea of having equivalent leagues running side by
Yes.
side, like even USL teams, like I would love to play USL teams more often, and that's why it's such a shame that we're not in the Open Cup this year because the only teams we're going to play is more Mexican teams. That I
Yeah,
don't know about
it's.
you, Luis, but I'm not
I'm
particularly
tired.
inspired watching a bunch of Mexican teams. Like,
I think for the betterment of the country, I think after 2026, the MLS and the NWSL, in my opinion, they need to buy the USL because it's broke, man. I don't know what they're doing over there. But anyways, buy it out, do pro rel, and some American teams go compete in Conmebol like Mexicans did in the 90s. Mexican teams,
Honestly,
some Mexican teams play Copa Libertadores, and that increased
it's
the
like
level of play.
there's like a war going on now for like the small market of soccer. You know what I mean? Because like the big cities, a lot of the major cities have like kind of taken. Like you could keep going, but
Mhm.
there's a war going on for like the small market of soccer, like between like the USL clubs that are doing all that, and then MLS has now started rebranding their NLS
Yeah,
Next Pro
MLS Next
teams
Pro. Yeah,
and using them as like micro teams, similar like a baseball kind of setup, like as you're up and down. So instead of having teams that you're playing in other leagues that are in the Open Cup or whatever, you've just got lower teams that are owned by your league still. They're just in minor divisions and can't move. That's fine to do it that way too. I wouldn't care if that was the way, but if that's the case, then like you said, buy USL, put all those teams under that, and like don't have promotion relegation, fine, but just have them all in divisions somewhere, and then do a
exactly,
cup.
exactly.
Like I think the issue is, like we said, there's so many different entities, and they all want to do different things, and U.S. Soccer has not run it. Like they're not taking ownership of it. It's not the case of it's not like other countries where they have that model of it's all regulated, like the English FA, for example.
Yeah,
It's all regulated through the FA, so you can't do anything. Whereas here,
right.
it's just
You
businesses. MLS is a business, USL is a business, and US Soccer is a business.
And not only
At the
that,
end
but
of the day,
U.S. soccer needs to be he needs to be like the dad scolding both kids equally,
exactly. US Soccer
and they're
needs to
not
be the
doing
one
that.
that everyone respects and gets in line behind and understands,
Right.
and they organize the structure and they tell. But right now, that no one respects them. No one cares what they
Exactly.
say. Like
I
MLS
mean,
just walks all over them and does whatever they want, and USL is just like being like, "Well, we just want to do our thing."
yeah,
And so,
JCB's 95 says
yeah,
Pro Rel is a good driver to stay competitive, but it doesn't work when you have. I agree
yeah,
wholeheartedly. What he
exactly.
says is so
That's the
true.
issue. It's a
That's the
mess.
main
The whole
issue
thing's a mess, and
because
it needs to be sorted out, or else it's just going to keep getting worse, and we're going to have a whole
uh,
bunch of teams in this country, and half of them won't play each other.
Mr. Garber, buy USL. Stop. Do like Vince McMahon. Buy your competition.
Take that Messi money that we know you
Exactly.
made. We know you made bank in that
Definitely he
Messi
made.
money.
Buy
Go buy
USL.
yourself USL.
Freaking
You should have bought it years ago. Like we said, it was cheap.
it's him. I just don't understand. And I mean, I know Tampa Bay Sun, for example, they're close to me in a way,
Yeah.
and I can't believe now they got. That's crazy. That
But
is
see, we're not going to
insane.
play them. Like I want to see
I want to
the
see
Tampa
the Sun
Suns
again.
against the Orlando Pride.
Yeah, build a new
Just
rivalry
like
and
I
stuff.
still want to see Orlando City versus Tampa Bay Rowdies. Um,
Yeah.
that's not a hope this year. We got it in the Open Cup the year we won it. That was great, but
I think Miami should have been playing at the high school level by now. No, the Miami FC, they should do, Miami FC should be the real Miami and Inter
well,
Miami.
if pro well was a thing in this country, then there would be a lot of clubs that would be up
Yeah,
and down. It'd be
we would be
interesting
in
to
Pro
see
Rel
that.
right now.
But yeah, um,
We would be.
I think also it makes me when people complain about losing all the time. It's like, okay, yeah, we've had a terrible season. For example, if we did, we've had some bad seasons at
Yeah.
MLS, but there was never a chance of getting relegated. So what you end up with is like every sport in the U.S. is those teams at the bottom. No one cares about their last games where there's nothing to play for
Mm-hmm.
because they're just at the bottom. Right now, Stoke are still in that relegation battle, Luis. We could get relegated, and so as much as I don't want that to happen, I'm glued to the games right now because I gotta watch. I gotta be like, well, what's gonna happen? My boys, are we gonna get relegated? What's gonna go? Are we gonna save ourselves? I say it once, I say it 1,000 times. The relegation battle in the Premier League is way more interesting than
It is
the title
exciting.
race
It,
most
it,
year.
it it is
I love
exciting.
watching that more than I do the who's gonna win the title, Liverpool or Man City, or I don't care. Well, I want to know is our Luton Town going to save themselves? Like that's the storyline that I want to
And,
hear,
and that's
Luis.
another
And
thing. The another
if we
thing
had
that
that in the
the
U.S., it would be amazing. I'd love that, but it's
if
hard to
if
do.
the U.S. needs to stop being afraid of the NFL and the NBA. That's another thing.
Yeah,
They have to
it's,
have trust on the fandom, and I believe by traveling to other stadiums too, not only covering in the Orlando City community, but traveling to other stadiums and also abroad, I could definitely tell you cities like Orlando, like Seattle, like Portland, like LA, like a lot of the cities, they could sell out it. We're gonna see it in Copa America in June. Like it's gonna be insane what America. We need to have faith also in the consumer, in the viewer, and I think you're not gonna get more viewers or more consumers if you don't make the league better. you know, so it
I
is
think
all a chain effect.
it's when people say Super Bowl is the biggest sporting event in the world, and then there's the meme where
No
it's like, oh, and
way.
like look at the World Cup. It's
No way.
soccer is
There's
the
no
biggest sport in the
way.
world. It's only going to get bigger here, and I agree with you, Luis. I think just like MLS for so long had the training wheels of, this is our restrictions that we just talked about earlier and getting rid of those. They were the training wheels of like, okay, this is how we schedule games to avoid NFL,
Yeah,
avoid
we
NBA,
can't do
avoid
that.
MLB,
Can't do that.
whatever. And the whole season is scheduled like that. I'm pretty sure. I mean, there's some weather effects that have to do with it, but for me, it's stop. I agree. Stop worrying about that. People are going to watch soccer if they want to watch soccer over the other sports instead of the other
Correct.
sports. Go to bars that play soccer. There's plenty of bars
Yeah.
that just constantly play soccer all the time. It doesn't matter what else is on. So have faith in your consumer. I agree entirely, Luis. I think America is such a melting pot more now than ever before of
Yeah.
Europeans, South Americans, Asians. It doesn't matter. And all 90% of those people moving from other places or having roots in other countries are soccer fans in those countries. Luis, hello.
Yeah. Yeah. Like me,
All of us,
we
like the
never
vet,
we
most of our
like we
commenters here are in that bucket. So have faith in that and know that this is an American sport now, just as much as any of the others.
this
And
is
yeah, go
this
ahead
here
and
you get
schedule them
rewarded
when
with
the
draft
NFL's on.
picks.
Who cares?
Here you get rewarded with draft picks if you finish at the bottom. That's right.
I love
Yeah.
a lot of the parity of MLS. I do agree with a lot of that, and I don't want to get rid of that entirely. I just think it's like we talked about. It's
I
time
mean,
to open it up.
that itself makes us different than other leagues in the world, and we need to keep that. But I'm talking about this is a global sport. We cannot make soccer a la americana,
No,
you know? We
but that's
cannot
what
make
the problem
soccer
is.
the American way. It's
A
not.
lot, and a lot of these owners, Luis, are NFL owners, and they're trying to NFL it. They're trying to do it the way that they know how to do the NFL and
Like
apply
right
that
now, for
same method here.
example,
And that's not always the best tactic.
if you give me a chance to watch a Minnesota Vikings game or an Orlando City game, I'll watch a City game. That's just my opinion.
I
And just
also
like
think it's. Sorry, go ahead.
and I feel I know that a lot of the fandom feels the same way.
I think it's really ironic with the roster rules and like how many people you can have and how much money you can spend, et cetera, when you consider like the NFL has like three
Yeah.
strings teams and there's guys being paid way more just to stand there and never go on the field
Exactly.
all season. And they have like 10 games. And in
Yeah.
soccer, they're running way more. They're playing like
They have
10
higher chances
times,
to
like
get
four
injured.
times the games, right? They're playing like, I don't know, 30, 40 games a season.
Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, it's why don't we have a third?
I mean,
I mean,
obviously
we
we're
kind of
never
do.
gonna.
OCB is, but they play a bunch of games as well. So
Obviously, you have to
it,
understand American football is exciting. I love it. I think it's great. I've been to a lot of American football games. I've seen the Bucks play. I've seen the Dolphins play. But let me tell you, soccer is a complete different beast. And you have to treat it differently. And I think the MLS, by adhering to the global game and having the same schedule as every other freaking league in the world, and by them competing and closing the restrictions, bringing better players, going and playing abroad in different countries, like maybe play Copa Libertadores. Like, let's say some teams play the Champions League, some teams play Copa Libertadores. That's going to level the play of the league in a way. And I know other teams in the world want to do that too. They want to face the MLS. Like, I talk to people from South America all the time. They're like, "Hey, I wish we could play like one day the Sounders, or we could play Galesa's team. Like, that'd be great." But right now, because of money, it's impossible. Anyways, we're gonna have to cut it short because I know that I know we've been holding John hostage. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that,
You're
man.
good. I gotta go eat my dinner. It's here, so
Anyways,
time for me to go eat.
follow us on social media, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We're on X at LPO_podcast, also on Twitter, on X, on YouTube as LPO_podcast. Thank you so much, guys, for all your support. And after we go, vamos Orlando. Vamos Orlando.
Vamos,
Vamos
Orlando.
Orlando. Have a good one, guys.